Have you ever found yourself in like a strange sort of paradox?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're answering every message, you're hitting every deadline, keeping that smile plastered on your face.
Mm.
To the outside world, you look like the picture of composure, of productivity. But deep down, there's this relentless, quiet hum, like you're being chased or constantly running out of time, even when your calendar's packed with accomplishments. It just feels, well, profoundly off.
Yeah, that resonates, that internal offness.
If that sounds familiar, even just a little, then listen closely. Because this isn't just everyday stress. This isn't, merely a busy season that will eventually pass.
Right.
What we're talking about today is often called high-functioning anxiety. And here's where it gets really interesting and almost, well, heartbreakingly ironic.
Mm-hmm.
The world often rewards these very traits.
Mm.
You're labeled driven. People see you as incredibly reliable.
They praise you for being resilient.
Exactly. You are basically the one who always has it together until maybe suddenly you just don't.
Until you crash.
Yeah. So our mission today in this deep dive, it isn't about giving anyone a clinical diagnosis or, throwing around buzzwords.
No, definitely not.
It's about really pulling back the curtain on a mental health condition that so many of us feel, sometimes really intensely, but rarely, if ever, talk about openly.
Especially younger adults, right? It seems particularly common there.
It does, and that's a key point you made earlier, that internal struggle.
Well, it's precisely because the external looks so polished, so capable, that this struggle often goes unnoticed.
Why others? Yeah.
Not just by others, but often even by the person experiencing it. The internal reality is just such a stark contrast, and that very subtlety makes high-functioning anxiety incredibly pervasive and, frankly, difficult to identify without knowing what to look for.
That's such a crucial point.
Mm.
So today, we're going to unpack quite a bit. We'll be diving deep into those early, quiet red flags that most people, even those experiencing them, might completely miss.
Mm-hmm.
We'll explore how that silent panic can hum beneath what looks like peak performance.
Right, that constant undercurrent.
We'll confront the profound emotional and psychological confusion it creates.
And
And we'll break down the very real, tangible cost it has on your mind, your body, your energy levels.
absolutely, the physical toll is significant.
Crucially, by the end of our conversation, we want to equip you with practical strategies.
Mm.
How to detect it, how to maybe prevent it from taking over, how to manage it, and how to genuinely begin healing.
It's such a vital conversation.
It really is. One we all need to have, but so rarely do. So before we truly begin, maybe just take a deep breath with us. Just one.
Good idea.
And as we explore this topic, if anything we discuss resonates with you, please know that you are absolutely not alone.
Not at all.
Okay, let's start with something foundational. It feels incredibly obvious once you say it, but almost no one talks about it openly. High-functioning anxiety isn't officially recognized as a clinical diagnosis. It's not in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5. Now, for those who might not know, what exactly is the DSM-5 and why is it significant that high-functioning anxiety isn't listed there?
Sure. So the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, it's essentially the official guidebook that mental health professionals use for diagnosing conditions.
Okay.
It provides specific criteria that help ensure consistency in diagnosis and treatment across the board. Now, the fact that high-functioning anxiety isn't in it doesn't mean the experience isn't real, not at all.
Right, that's important.
But it highlights that it's often seen as a cluster of symptoms or maybe a particular way of experiencing existing anxiety disorders like generalized anxiety disorder perhaps, rather than a distinct standalone condition with its own clear, universally agreed upon diagnostic rules.
This is more of a lived experience.
Exactly. It's a lived experience that many people relate to deeply, even if it doesn't fit perfectly into a predefined clinical box.
And yet, even though it's not an official diagnosis,
Mhm.
it feels absolutely everywhere, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Especially among, say, Millennials and Gen Z.
Oh, definitely.
Generations often described as the burnout generation,
Mhm.
caught in that relentless pursuit of productivity, the whole hustle harder culture.
Precisely. And this often manifests in what some people call the I'm fine culture.
Ah, yes, I'm fine.
It's a world where everyone seems to present this perfectly curated online persona, especially on platforms like Instagram, even if they're quietly struggling behind that perfect grid.
Totally. The image is one of constant motion, constant success.
But the internal experience is entirely different. You're expected to be on all the time, and any deviation from that perfect image feels like a massive personal failure.
It's exactly like running on a treadmill that never ever stops.
Hmm.
You are consistently productive. You are, by all external measures, successful. You are always on, always available, always performing. But behind all that outward capability, you're actually existing in this state of constant, quiet, and incredibly controlled panic, holding it together,
Yeah.
but it takes immense internal energy.
And what makes this condition so insidiously dangerous is precisely that control, that mask.
Because you're so good at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're so good at managing it, at masking it, people around you often don't see it. They see the functioning part, not the anxiety part.
Yeah.
In fact, you yourself might not even fully recognize it for what it is until it reaches a breaking point, often when the physical and emotional toll just becomes undeniable.
It's like this invisible weight you carry while trying to look effortlessly light.
Perfectly put. A silent alarm that's constantly buzzing in the background of your life.
That invisible weight. I think so many people listening might relate to that. Let's really break down some of the early signs, the quiet red flags of high-functioning anxiety. As we go through these, maybe you'll find yourself nodding along to some, or perhaps even all of them. And that's perfectly okay. There's no judgment here. Think of this as maybe a reflective exercise, a way to connect with your own experience.
Good way to frame it.
Okay, first up, overthinking absolutely everything. Now, this goes beyond just thoughtful reflection, right? What's the deeper layer here for someone with high-functioning anxiety?
It really does. It's not just rumination. It's this exhausting, often futile attempt to control every single variable and prevent any perceived failure.
Control. Okay.
So you're replaying conversations you had hours ago, analyzing every word choice in an email, dissecting the tone of every text message, all on this relentless loop.
Looking for mistakes.
Yeah, searching for hidden meanings, for potential missteps you might have made, hoping that if you analyze it enough, you can somehow predict or prevent any negative outcome. But ironically, all that analysis just amplifies the very anxiety it's trying to manage.
Wow. That internal detective work must be absolutely exhausting.
It is mentally draining.
And that often ties directly into the second sign we see. Perfectionism disguised as high standards. We're always told high standards are good, so how does this become a red flag?
Well, it's true. Having high standards isn't inherently bad. But for someone with high-functioning anxiety, this isn't just about striving to do well. It's driven by a paralyzing fear of making any mistake at all.
Paralyzing fear.
Yes. The thought of even a small error can completely halt progress or cause immense internal distress because mistakes feel like definitive personal failures, not opportunities to learn or grow.
So it's less about the standard and more about the fear of falling short.
Exactly. It's often a desperate need for external validation wrapped up in this pursuit of flawlessness, which can lead to things like analysis paralysis. You're so afraid of doing it wrong, you can't even start.
And that paralyzing fear, that analysis paralysis, can lead right into our third indicator, the procrastination plus productivity loop. This sounds contradictory. How does that cycle actually play out?
It's a classic paradox, isn't it? You delay starting a task often because of the sheer pressure of needing to do it perfectly, or maybe just the overwhelming nature of the task itself feels too big.
Okay, so the anxiety makes you put it off.
Right. Then, because you've delayed, panic sets in and you have to overwork. You pull all-nighters, you push yourself to utter exhaustion just to get it done by the deadline.
The adrenaline kicks in.
Exactly. And once it's finally complete, you inevitably crash. You feel depleted, burnt out, only to repeat the exact same cycle with the next demanding task. It's this vicious loop of burnout and frantic recovery, constantly chasing your own tail.
Wow. Okay, beyond these mental and behavioral patterns, the body often sends its own signals, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That brings us to our fourth point, physical symptoms. These are not just imagined discomforts, are they?
Absolutely not. These are genuine physiological manifestations of chronic internal tension. Think about a perpetually clenched jaw. Maybe you notice it when you wake up.
Or grinding teeth at night.
Yes. Or shoulders that feel like they're practically glued up to your ears because they're so stiff and tight.
Yeah, that neck tension.
Persistent stomach aches, digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome is often linked to anxiety. And of course, the classic sign, insomnia, where your mind just will not shut off no matter how exhausted your body feels.
Your body is literally holding all that tension that your mind is trying so hard to control or ignore.
Precisely. It has to go somewhere.
Okay, fifth on our list, Hyper-independence. This isn't just, preferring to handle things yourself, is it? It seems like something deeper for those with high-functioning anxiety.
It is much deeper. It often means you simply don't ask for help. Ever. It's
Yeah.
not just a preference. It's this deep-seated belief that needing any assistance is a sign of weakness, a clear indicator of failure.
Like asking for help means you're not capable.
Exactly. It feels like admitting you're not good enough, not strong enough. So you end up carrying these enormous burdens completely alone, even when others might gladly offer support.
Which isolates you further.
It does. It isolates you and reinforces that sense of immense individual pressure. I have to do it all myself.
Following that, we often see that for people struggling with this, success often feels hollow. You
Right.
achieve the goals, you hit the milestones, maybe you get the promotion, but instead of joy, there's often just relief. Is that right?
That's exactly right. You accomplish what you set out to do, sometimes huge things. But instead of experiencing genuine satisfaction or pride or joy, you mainly feel nothing much. Or more accurately, you feel only this profound sense of relief that you didn't fail.
Wow. Relief at not failing rather than happiness at succeeding.
Yes. The brain, particularly when anxious, is wired for survival. It prioritizes avoiding danger, or in this case, the perceived danger of failure over actually experiencing joy or reward.
So it creates this feedback loop.
Right. Accomplishment only signals, okay, threat averted, or not dead yet, never, wow, this feels truly good and fulfilling. The absence of the negative outcome replaces the presence of a positive feeling.
It's really sad, actually.
It robs you of the rewards of your hard work.
And finally, the seventh quiet red flag we wanted to touch on is social exhaustion. You can be the life of the party, charming, funny, but what happens afterward?
Afterwards is the key. In those social settings, you might be the ultimate charmer, the witty one, the high-energy person who seems to light up the room. You're engaging, you're essentially performing, and you might even do it really well.
But it's a performance.
Often, yes. And the moment you leave that setting, the moment you're alone, you completely crash. You feel utterly drained. You need to withdraw entirely, sometimes for hours or even days, just to recover from the sheer effort of maintaining that outward persona.
So not that you don't like people necessarily.
Not at all. It's just that the performance itself is incredibly draining when it's fueled by anxiety rather than genuine ease.
Wow. Okay, those 7 signs.
Yeah.
Overthinking, perfectionism, the procrastination productivity loop,
Yeah.
physical symptoms, hyperindependence, hollow success, and social exhaustion. Do any of those sound familiar to you listening? If they do, please understand this. These are not signs of weakness, not at all. They are, in fact, powerful indicators, almost like wisdom, really.
Yeah, I like that framing. Wisdom.
They're early warnings, maybe gentle nudges, maybe not so gentle nudges, from your body and mind signaling very clearly that, hey, something isn't quite right here. Something's off balance.
And acknowledging that is the first step, which leads us directly into the really unsettling part. The profound emotional and psychological confusion that comes hand in hand with high-functioning anxiety.
Yeah, this is where the internal experience gets truly messy, isn't it?
It really does.
Because on the outside, to everyone looking in, you appear to be absolutely thriving.
Right.
You show up, you achieve goal after goal, you manage to keep that smile on, projecting this image of calm capability.
The mask is firmly in place.
But internally, beneath that polished exterior, there's just this relentless storm raging. How does this manifest in terms of feeling anxious without a clear trigger? That seems really common.
Oh, it's incredibly common and deeply disorienting. You often don't even know why you feel anxious. You just are. There's no obvious threat, no clear trigger, just this constant pervasive hum of unease or dread.
Like an alarm bell ringing, but you can't see the fire.
Exactly. And that makes you feel even more isolated, because if there's no clear cause, how can you possibly explain it to someone else? Or even begin to address it yourself? It feels baseless, even though it's very real.
And it creates this really profound paradox. You wake up in the morning feeling utterly exhausted, bone-tired, even after getting what should have been a full night's sleep.
Never feeling rested.
And then at night, when you desperately want to rest, you find yourself completely wired. Your mind is buzzing, racing, unable to quiet down. That combination of being simultaneously tired and wired. That's such a hallmark of this internal conflict, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Your body is screaming for rest, but your mind is still stuck in that on state, that hypervigilant mode.
Right.
This sustained activation prevents true relaxation and prevents the kind of deep restorative sleep you need. And that just creates this vicious cycle of chronic fatigue, which then feeds back into the anxiety itself. It makes everything harder.
And it gets even more confusing psychologically because you find yourself caught in this bizarre double fear. You're terrified of failing, right? Of not meeting expectations, of letting people down.
Definitely. Fear of failure is huge.
But at the exact same time, you're also kind of afraid of succeeding. That sounds so strange, but it's a real dynamic.
It is real, and it's incredibly painful. Why? Because success often means more responsibility, right? More visibility, more eyes on you, more pressure to maintain that impossible standard you've set for yourself.
Which just fuels the anxiety even more.
Precisely. It feels like a no-win scenario where both paths, failure and success, lead to increased internal pressure, making any kind of forward movement feel fraught with peril. What if I succeed and can't handle it? Becomes as scary as what if I fail?
Wow. And this whole internal struggle, this confusion, it's so often compounded by something psychologists call self-gaslighting. Can you explain what that looks like in this context?
Self-gaslighting. Yeah. It's when you find yourself feeling immense guilt for struggling at all. You tell yourself things like, I have it so good compared to others, or other people have real problems, I shouldn't feel this way.
Minimizing your own pain.
Exactly. This internal narrative makes you dismiss your own valid feelings, leading to this profound distrust of your own emotional experience. You constantly question the legitimacy of your anxiety or exhaustion, telling yourself you shouldn't feel this way.
Which just traps you further in the silent struggle.
Completely. It's essentially convincing yourself that your very real pain isn't legitimate, which prevents you from seeking help or even acknowledging the depth of the problem to yourself.
And that ongoing emotional confusion, that constant invalidation of your own feelings, it ultimately leads somewhere really dangerous, doesn't it? Towards a kind of terrifying numbness.
Yes. Numbness is a major risk.
You're not truly happy, but you're not, like, deeply sad either. You're just going through the motions, existing, surviving, not thriving. This feels like the real danger zone.
It absolutely is. Because when you start to feel nothing, when you get numb, you often stop reaching out for connection. You stop trying to change things because it feels pointless.
You lose hope.
You can. And that's when the silent panic you've been so expertly controlling and managing can quietly, almost imperceptibly, morph into a silent breakdown, unseen by anyone, maybe even yourself, until it suddenly become overwhelming.
It's like living life in grayscale.
Exactly, watching it pass by without truly feeling engaged or alive.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit now and talk about the actual science behind this. What's happening in your body and your mind when you're experiencing high-functioning anxiety?
Right.
Because it's not just a feeling, right?
Right.
It has profound physiological effects.
Oh, absolutely. It's deeply physiological. When you're constantly in that state of quiet panic, even if it's low grade, your nervous system is essentially being flooded with cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Exactly, your body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol is designed for acute, short-term threats, the classic fight or flight response. It helps you mobilize energy quickly to deal with immediate danger.
But with high-functioning anxiety, it's not short-term.
That's the problem. It becomes a chronic state. Your body is constantly perceiving threat, constantly releasing cortisol, even when there's no saber-toothed tiger chasing you.
Right. Just like emails or deadlines.
Or just the internal pressure itself. And long-term sustained exposure to elevated cortisol levels does real damage. It can basically exhaust your body's stress response system over time.
Frying your adrenal system, people sometimes say.
That's a common way to put it, yeah. Your adrenal glands get overworked. It makes your system less effective at regulating your body's reactions to everyday pressures. This chronic state of activation leads to a whole host of very real, very disruptive physical symptoms.
Okay, let's talk about those. What kind of physical symptoms are we looking at?
Well, you might find yourself experiencing persistent brain fog, making it really hard to focus or think clearly, like walking through treacle mentally.
Yeah, difficulty concentrating.
Memory lapses can become more common, where you suddenly can't recall something you just said or did, or where you put your keys for the 10th time. Digestive issues often crop up, anything from constant upset stomachs, bloating, acid reflux, to more severe conditions like IBS, as we mentioned.
That gut-brain connection.
Absolutely critical. Your heart rate might be persistently elevated, even at rest. Your breathing often becomes shallow, sort of unconsciously held high in the chest, as if you're always bracing for impact.
You don't even realize you're doing it.
Often not. And despite getting seemingly sufficient sleep, maybe 8 hours or more, you wake up feeling just as tired, or sometimes even more tired than when you went to bed. This constant, unrefreshing fatigue is incredibly debilitating.
It really grinds you down.
It does.
Beyond the purely physical, there are also distinct behavioral consequences that stem from this mind-body chaos, right? What are some of the most common ones people might notice in themselves or others?
Definitely. Behavior changes are key indicators. You might find yourself canceling plans frequently at the last minute, especially social ones, because the energy required to be on just feels completely overwhelming,
The social battery is just gone.
completely drained. There's often a tendency to overcommit, ironically, taking on more and more tasks, projects, responsibilities.
Why? To avoid feeling lazy.
Often, yes, to avoid feeling lazy or unproductive because that internal critic equates rest with failure. So you pile more on, even though you're already drowning.
That makes sense in a twisted way.
And that feeling of being overwhelmed can lead to needing more control externally. So micromanaging everything around you, work tasks, family schedules, even small details, because you feel so utterly out of control internally.
Trying to control the outside when the inside feels chaotic.
Exactly. You might also find yourself snapping easily at people you love, having a really short fuse over minor things. Or finding yourself crying randomly, seemingly for no reason at all.
But there is a reason, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. There is always a reason. These physical discomforts, these behavioral shifts, they are the only language your mind and body might know to actually scream for help.
They're signals.
They are signals, loud ones, telling you through the language of profound discomfort that something needs to change, that you've been carrying way too much for way too long.
Okay. So given all of this, the hidden nature, the confusion, the physical toll, the crucial question becomes, how do you actually catch this before it completely consumes you, before it perhaps turns into that silent breakdown?
Right, early detection is key.
Let's talk about some practical ways you can start tuning in, developing that self-awareness.
Great. Where should we start?
Well, a really great starting point, simple but effective, is to implement a daily body check-in. Just a quick pause. Momentarily stop what you're doing and just ask yourself, am I tense right now? Is my jaw clenched? Are my shoulders creeping up towards my ears? Am I breathing deeply down into my belly? Or is my breath shallow and stuck up in my chest?
Just noticing, without judgment.
Exactly. Noticing those physical cues is the very first step, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's about consciously reconnecting with your physical self, which often gets completely ignored when your mind is constantly racing ahead or dwelling on the past. This simple awareness can help you flag that tension before it builds into chronic pain or deeper exhaustion.
Okay, that's one. Another incredibly insightful practice could be to audit your joy.
Audit your joy. I like that. Explain.
Think about activities, hobbies, passions, things you once genuinely enjoyed, things that used to bring you a sense of peace or excitement or flow.
Okay.
Now ask yourself honestly, do those same activities now feel like chores? Do they feel like just another obligation on your already overflowing to-do list?
When passions become obligations.
Exactly. When things you used to want to do become things you feel you have to do, or maybe you just avoid them altogether because they feel like too much effort, that's a significant red flag.
It's a profound indicator, actually. If your hobbies, the things meant to recharge you, now feel like another source of pressure or just meh, it's a strong sign that the underlying anxiety is leaching the pleasure and vitality out of your life.
And it's important to acknowledge that shift, rather than just trying to push through it and make yourself enjoy it.
Definitely. Pushing rarely works there.
Okay, third tool, journaling. This can be so powerful for self-discovery, and it doesn't need to be like writing a novel every day.
No, definitely not. Even just bullet points.
Right, just getting thoughts out of your head and onto paper. How can someone use journaling specifically to identify themes related to high-functioning anxiety?
As you track your thoughts, maybe over a week or two, you can start to identify recurring themes or patterns. Is there a pervasive sense of guilt that keeps popping up?
Guilt about resting, maybe?
Yes. Or guilt about not doing enough. Is there a constant undercurrent of fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of the future, a feeling of deep insecurity that whispers behind everything you do?
Seeing it written down makes it clear.
It does. These themes, once you see them recurring, can point directly to the underlying anxiety. It reveals the patterns that you might completely miss when those thoughts are just swirling chaotically in your head. It's like mapping the landscape of your internal world.
That's a great analogy, mapping the landscape. Okay, and sometimes we can't see it ourselves, right? Sometimes the people who see it most clearly are those closest to us.
Absolutely.
So fourth point, don't be afraid to ask trusted friends for feedback. Sometimes they can observe your exhaustion, or maybe your quiet withdrawal, or subtle changes in your demeanor long before you consciously acknowledge them yourself.
They might see the signs you're too busy running on that treadmill to notice.
Exactly.
That's a brave step, asking for feedback like that, but it can be such a necessary one. A trusted friend, someone who really cares, can offer a gentle mirror. They can reflect back what you might be missing, not as a criticism or judgment, but simply as an observation, out of care.
Yeah. Hey, I've noticed you seem really tired lately, or you haven't seemed like yourself.
Exactly, those kinds of observations.
Okay, all of this, the body check-ins, auditing joy, journaling, feedback, brings us to a really crucial realization that I think we all need to internalize in our culture. Simply being busy isn't the same as being okay.
Oh, that's huge. Say that again?
Being busy isn't the same as being okay. Society often equates busyness with importance, with success, with value, but it can be such a dangerous facade, especially when it's driven by anxiety.
It's a fundamental reframe we need. It challenges these deeply ingrained societal values that tell us we constantly need to be striving, producing, achieving.
Right. That constant striving isn't always the path to happiness.
Often, it's just the direct path to exhaustion and burnout. True well-being isn't measured by how full your calendar is. It's measured by how full your cup is, how nourished you feel internally.
That's a much better metric.
Hmm.
So prioritizing peace over perpetual motion.
It's actually a radical act of self-care in today's world.
Okay. Now that we've talked about recognizing the signs and developing that self-awareness, let's shift our focus to prevention. What can you actually do to build resilience and maybe keep high-functioning anxiety from taking root in the first place, or from overwhelming you again if you've experienced it before?
Yes, proactive strategies. Very important.
We've got 6 actionable strategies here that we think can make a really huge difference.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, and this is often the most challenging one for many of us caught in this cycle, setting boundaries.
The B word. Always tough.
It is. For the high-functioning anxiety mind, saying no can feel like failure, can't it? Like you're letting someone down or not being productive enough. How do we overcome that?
It's true, it feels risky. The key insight here, I think, is to understand that saying no isn't primarily a rejection of the external demand or person. It's actually a powerful yes to yourself.
A yes to yourself.
A yes to your own well-being, your own capacity, your own nervous system. It's about reestablishing a sense of internal agency in areas where you might feel powerless or obligated.
So it's reclaiming power.
Exactly. And remember this, the world will adjust to your no. It really will.
No.
But your peace, your sanity, your health, they won't adjust indefinitely to your yes if that yes constantly means sacrificing yourself.
That's powerful. The world will adjust.
Yeah.
Okay. Second strategy. Create a daily disconnect.
Unplugging time.
Yes. Dedicate at least 1 hour, maybe more if you can, but start with one every single day to be completely free of screens and external inputs.
No phone, no computer.
No computer, no news feeds, no social media scrolling, just you. And this isn't about being unproductive. It's about deliberately giving your mind and nervous system space to decompress and reset without that constant barrage of stimulation.
That intentional unplugging is so vital. Our brains are constantly processing information, even passively. Giving them a genuine break allows for mental quiet, it allows space for creativity to emerge, it allows for simple presence, things we rarely experience in our hyper-connected world anymore.
Absolutely. Okay, third, treat sleep like it's sacred.
Non-negotiable.
Totally. In our hustle culture, sleep is so often the first thing we sacrifice when deadlines loom or schedules get packed. But nothing, absolutely nothing, fixes and restores your system like deep, quality sleep.
It is the biological foundation for everything else.
So prioritize it. Treat it as a non-negotiable fundamental for your well-being, not some kind of luxury you indulge in when you have extra time.
Exactly. When you are chronically sleep deprived, your body struggles. It struggles to regulate crucial hormones like cortisol. It struggles to repair cells. It struggles to consolidate memories. It struggles to process emotions effectively. Prioritizing sleep isn't lazy. It's a strategic imperative for optimizing your entire system.
Strategic imperative. Love that. Okay, fourth, move your body, but maybe shift your mindset about why you're moving it.
Movement not as punishment.
Right. It doesn't need to be an intense gym grind or training for a marathon if that just feels like another source of pressure. What kind of movement truly helps in this context of managing anxiety?
Engage in movement that genuinely feels good to you, that brings you a sense of release or even joy. Go for a walk in nature, notice the trees, the birds, do some gentle stretching, put on your favorite music, and just dance ridiculously in your living room.
Permission to be silly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The goal isn't solely burning calories or hitting some arbitrary fitness target. It's about release. It's about connection with your body. It's about allowing your body to move freely and literally shake off some of that stored tension and stress.
Makes sense. Okay, fifth strategy. Talk it out.
Connection and processing.
Yes. Embrace therapy not as a sign of weakness or something you only do when you're completely broken, but as a profound act of wisdom and proactive self-care.
Preventative maintenance for the mind.
Exactly. Having a neutral, trained professional to help you process your thoughts, understand your patterns, and learn coping skills can be an absolute game changer.
It truly can. Therapy offers that safe, confidential space to untangle complex emotions and those sticky thought patterns we get caught in. And there are different types that can be really effective.
Like CBT.
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is great for helping you identify and actively challenge those negative, anxiety-provoking thought patterns. EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
It sounds intense.
It can be, but it's incredibly effective for many people. It uses guided eye movements or other forms of bilateral stimulation to help your brain reprocess and integrate distressing memories or experiences that might be fueling the anxiety, often without you having to talk extensively about the trauma itself.
Interesting. And somatic therapy.
Somatic therapy focuses much more directly on the body. It involves tuning into your body's sensations, the tension, the tightness, the feelings to help release stored stress and trauma. It works on the principle that the body holds the score, so to speak.
Right. These aren't just abstract concepts. They offer real, tangible tools for healing and managing anxiety.
Definitely. They can provide concrete skills and foster deep shifts in perspective.
Okay, and finally, our sixth preventive strategy. Practice creating before you consume. What does that mean, and how does it help with managing anxiety?
This is about how you start your day. Try to begin your day with an activity that nourishes you personally before you immediately dive into external inputs like emails, news, or social media.
So before the reactive mode kicks in.
Exactly. Whether it's 5 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of meditation, some gentle stretching, reading a few pages of an inspiring book, or maybe working on a personal creative project for a short time, do something for yourself first.
Protect that first bit of the day.
Yes. It establishes a sense of personal agency right from the start. It sets a calmer, more intentional tone for your day, preventing that immediate jump into reactivity and overwhelm that often happens when the first thing you do is check your phone.
These all seem like relatively small shifts on their own.
They might seem small, but done consistently, they have the power to change absolutely everything in how you feel and function day to day. They build resilience over time.
Okay, so let's say you're already in it. You're listening to this and you're thinking, yes, that's me. I'm functioning. Yes, I'm anxious, definitely. And I am utterly exhausted. What now?
Yeah, what do you do when you're in the thick of it?
Here's a really important truth we want to emphasize. You don't have to completely quit your life. You don't have to disappear from the world or drop all your responsibilities to start healing.
That's often not realistic anyway.
Exactly. You absolutely can heal while still existing, still functioning, still navigating your responsibilities in the world. It's about integrating healing into your life.
So what are some key strategies for that healing process and for long-term management?
Okay, first one. Slow down intentionally. This isn't about stopping entirely because that might feel impossible or even more anxiety-provoking for some.
Right, gradual change.
It's about consciously, deliberately reducing your activity levels, even slightly. Maybe do one less thing each day. Say no to one small request. Build in short pauses. And then truly observe what happens when you do.
Pay attention to the effect.
Yeah. You might be surprised by how much more you begin to feel, both physically and emotionally, and how much more present you become when you're not constantly rushing from one thing to the next. Slowing down creates space.
Space to notice, space to breathe. Okay, what's second?
Second, again, is therapeutic support. We touched on some modalities earlier, but it's worth reiterating how much of a game changer therapy can be when you're actively struggling.
Absolutely. Finding the right therapist and the right modality for you is key.
We mentioned CBT for challenging thought patterns. EMDR for processing deeper distress or trauma, and somatic therapy for connecting with and releasing bodily tension. These aren't just buzzwords, they are powerful tools.
They really are. They offer structured ways to understand the roots of your anxiety, develop coping mechanisms, and fundamentally change your relationship with your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. Don't underestimate the power of professional support.
So true. Third strategy, and this one is absolutely crucial: community.
Connection. So important.
Healing in isolation is incredibly hard, maybe even impossible for most of us. We need connection. What kind of community can be most helpful here?
Find people who truly get it. People who understand what you're going through because they've been there or are there too. This could be supportive group chats with close friends who share similar struggles.
Sure.
It could be anonymous online communities like certain Reddit threads or forums where people openly share their experiences with anxiety. Discord servers dedicated to mental health support can also be amazing.
So finding your people.
Yes. The act of normalizing your struggle through shared experience can alleviate so much of that internal pressure, that shame, that feeling of being fundamentally flawed or alone. Knowing you're not the only one feeling this way is a powerful balm for the soul.
Definitely takes the edge off the isolation.
Yeah.
Okay, and fourth strategy for healing and management.
Integrate mindfulness practice into your daily routine. And again, this doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming.
Not an hour on a cushion necessarily.
Not at all, unless you want to. Even something as simple as 5 minutes of intentional breathing practice each day can begin to calm that internal chaos. Just focusing on your breath, noticing the rise and fall of your chest or belly.
Anchoring yourself.
Exactly. It's about anchoring yourself in the present moment, even for just a few breaths. It gives your constantly activated nervous system a chance to downshift, to regulate itself amidst all the internal and external noise.
And mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind, right? That feels impossible sometimes.
Right. That's a common misconception. It's more about observing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment, noticing them arise and pass without getting swept away by them.
Developing that observer self.
Precisely. This simple act can create a tiny bit of critical distance from the anxious hum, from the racing thoughts. It allows your nervous system that much-needed reprieve and enables you to respond more thoughtfully rather than reactively to life's inevitable demands.
Small practice, big impact over time.
Huge impact.
And finally, maybe the most important permission you can ever give yourself, especially when you're healing from this kind of exhaustion: the permission to not be okay.
Yes, permission to be human.
Acknowledge, really acknowledge, that you have carried so much, maybe for so long. You've been strong, you've been resilient, you've kept going. And because you've carried so much, you absolutely deserve rest. You deserve peace. You deserve the time and space to heal.
Letting go of the need to always be on and fine.
Exactly. If you've made it this far with us, through this entire deep dive, I just want to say this directly to you listening. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are, quote, simply tired.
Deeply tired, perhaps.
Deeply tired. And here's the beautiful, empowering truth. You don't have to stay tired forever.
There is hope. There are paths forward.
Absolutely. High-functioning anxiety is incredibly real, and it presents a profound challenge. But your resilience, your innate capacity to adapt and heal and overcome, that is just as real.
Often stronger than you realize.
And the very fact that you are listening to this deep dive right now, that you're seeking understanding and insight, that in itself is the beginning of your healing journey. It's a brave and significant first step. Don't underestimate that.
Acknowledging it is huge.
So if anything we've discussed today really hit home for you, please don't keep this insight to yourself. Consider sharing this deep dive with a friend, especially maybe that friend who always seems to have it all together.
Right, the one who looks like they're juggling everything perfectly.
But who you suspect might be quietly struggling beneath the surface. You never know whose life you might touch, whose burden you might lighten, just by normalizing this conversation.
Making it okay to talk about not being okay.
Exactly. And as we sign off today, maybe take this final powerful thought with you. You don't have to earn your right to peace.
That's important.
It is not something you achieve only after enough suffering or enough productivity or enough achievement. Peace is your inherent right now.
It's your birthright.
It is. So please take care of yourself. Try to slow down, even just a little. And remember, always, to stay kind, especially to yourself.
Be gentle with yourself.
Thanks for diving deep with us.